everyone. It has been a journey of a pregnancy for me. I wanted to take the time out to talk about my birthing experience. But before we get in, yes, I will address I'm wearing my nursing bra and I don't care. When you're a mom, you pick and choose your battles. I do have my Starbucks iced chai with a little bit of matcha. It is late, it's 8:21. I wanted to film this way earlier in the day, but with baby Arya, it's just not happening. She's in her first sleep. She's not sleeping. Well, she's sleeping, but like she gets overtired very fast. Her wake window is probably like 10-15 minutes. And that kind of sucks too because it's like we want to interact with her, we want to play with her, but she just can't handle it. She gets fussy, like the overtired cry screams. If you know moms, you know that overtired fussiness. So that's what we've been dealing with right now. So her wake window is just super small, and I didn't get a chance to. She barely really slept. Like she had a broken nap, kind of like it was like napping, and then she'd wake up a little bit, but she was still in that REM. You know what I'm talking about? So it was not possible today, during the day. So let's get into my story. I gave birth on Monday, so let's flash back a little bit. On Sunday, actually Saturday, I started seeing some bleeding. And so Saturday, I was just concerned, no cramps, nothing, just some bleeding. And it was like kind of heavy, but it wasn't like where I talked to my midwife. She was like, as long as it's not filling up like a pad within 2 hours. And it wasn't that heavy, but it just seemed like really red. And I was just like, this is not safe. Baby's still in there. Is she okay? Something happening? So we went to labor and delivery because I just felt like that was the right thing to do. And we got it checked out because my midwife was like, if you really are worried, just come down, we'll check you out. And they said that I was still, at that point, even at the doctor's appointments, I was just like 1 centimeter dilated and barely a phase. So I was still 1 centimeter at that time. They said everything looked good, but they wanted to send me for an ultrasound to make sure baby was doing okay. So we went for an ultrasound and we got home. So we left probably around 7, 8-ish, and then we got home around like 10, 11-ish. So it was a few hours. It wasn't that long. They let me go home, which was great. Nothing was serious. And then so that night, actually, that Saturday night, I mean, I was having Braxton Hicks throughout the last trimester, towards the end especially. And mind you, I was 40 weeks and maybe 3 days at this point, okay? So I passed my due date. Yes, I passed my due date, and let me tell you, yes, it was hard. I was dancing the day before, I believe so, like trying to get the baby out. And I posted on Instagram. But, backtrack. 40 weeks, that same night on Saturday, I started getting like my Braxton Hicks, but they were longer. I was, doing my counts and stuff like that. I had my app, and they started, like, they stayed either for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or 6 minutes. They weren't really regular, but they kept coming for like those patterns, 4, 5, or 6 minutes. And at night, it just got so bad. Like, I could feel my fundus, which is on the top of the uterus, like, push, and it would get straight. You could see it literally, like, get straight. So I would literally sleep, and I'd get up, like, from the pain. The pain was so bad. I was just like, and the great thing is that hypnobirthing, which I did take a hypnobirthing class, and originally, let's talk, I had planned a natural birth, okay? I did plan a natural birth. I wanted it all, like, natural, no medication, nothing. But when that pain hit, honey, I tell you, my girlfriend was right. But I will say hypnobirthing class taught me how to breathe through the pain, and it taught me how to stay calm, collected, and not panic. And I think that's the main thing I would want to say. It taught me to not panic. It kind of allowed me to know what to expect, even if it went the wrong way. I just stayed positive and cool and calm the whole time. So when that pain hit, that night, the whole night, I kept getting up, literally jumping out of bed, standing up. The pain was unbearable. There was a time I told Anwar, I was like, can we please just go to the hospital now? And he was like, can you just wait for the morning, like, please? But it was like really late, and I was tired too. Not like I wasn't. I was already not getting sleep though, so it was frustrating. But I made it somehow through that night. Sunday morning hit. I called my midwife, like it was like 8 a.m. And I talked to her, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking I'm gonna just do this. Because in my head, I was like, I could be in labor for days if this is how it's gonna go. Like, I could, because I was 1 centimeter. So that kind of discouraged me mentally, I think, and that caused me to just be like, all right, if I'm 1 centimeter and the pain is this bad, this could last like a day, especially because it's my first baby. So I was just like, you know what, forget it. Let's just go the medication route because the pain was just so unbearable for me personally. And I do have a medium pain tolerance. I won't say I have a high. I have medium. Like I could, I you'll hear how many centimeters I was. Okay, so it wasn't that bad, but I think I have a bearable amount. So I call her at 8. I'm like, I decided I'm just gonna do medication. I want an epidural. I'm gonna come in. And she's like, you sure this is what you want? I'm like, yes, I'm sure. You know, I think this is it. Like, I don't know. But they're like, all right, just come on in. We'll check you. We'll see what's going on. I go in at like around 9, and then they check me labor and delivery, and they're like, oh, you're at 4 centimeters. I'm like, 4? Wow. So like, it's perfect. You know, you're in the right direction. Let's get you in. So luckily, because I went early, everything kind of went really fast. I got a room. My anesthesiologist came in. My doula was there. She was amazing. So, like, I'll tell you how amazing, like, having a doula is. But everybody came in. I got my epidural real quick. And let me tell you, it's not as scary as it sounds. Especially if you have a good anesthesiologist, which I got lucky. So, Anwar was too scared to hold me. So, my doula held me because you have to, you know, first time mom, you gotta kind of have to bend over for them to find your spinal, you know, yeah, the fun stuff. Didn't really hurt at all. Didn't feel anything. Obviously, they know me. So after the epidural, I felt amazing. I didn't feel any pain. And my doula then jumped in and was like, all right, we're going to start doing, you know, different positions. What is it called? The baby spinning positions? It's called spinning babies. Spinning baby positions. And we did a bunch of those. And then my midwife came again around 12, I believe. And I was already 6 centimeters then. And so she was like, oh, everything's looking great. We're going to have a baby by dinner time. And I was like, yeah, this is going great. I don't feel any pain. I'm chilling. My doula's helping me positions. I can, like, sleep, you know. So it was fun. Because I had not slept the whole night, remember. So I was really tired. I think she comes in around 2, 3. I'm still 6. And then again, she comes at 5-ish o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm still 6. And she's touching, and so they decided to, you know, break my water, I think around 1 or 2-ish o'clock. I think that's when they decided to break my water. So we broke my water, and we saw meconium, which is the baby had pooped in my belly. And that wasn't alarming for them. They're like, that's really normal. It happens, like, especially because you're overdue. Cool. When she came back, that's when I got concerned that I'm just not, like, you know, dilating, getting any further. So then she felt the baby, and she could tell the baby was crooked. It wasn't straight. It was crooked, head down. So Aria was being stubborn then. And so she decided to say, let's step in and get some Pitocin to try to really help push her in the direction while we do positions to get her to the other side. Maybe that'll help. So Pitocin and positioning might help her really just, she's like, I really just think she needs to go like this and then whoosh, just come out. We tried Pitocin. My epidural wore off a little, so I started feeling it, but then I just ding, 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 put some more epidural in me, and that helped. But she didn't budge. As many positions as we did, so anytime I turned to my left side, because she was to my right, her heart would go in distress, and they started noticing that as well. So then they thought, you know, maybe we need to put more water in her, maybe because we got rid of, like, the fluid around her. She's having a hard time, so they put fluid in me, actually. And then they saw that kind of helped, but by this time it was probably 10 p.m., you know, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and so we were seeing every time I turned to the left, she would just go in distress, like her heart would just go in distress. And so then they came in and they're like, you have two options. Either you're going to have to get a C-section or we can just wait this out and see. And when they kept coming in and saying, hey, we need you to move, we need the monitor, like, we don't get her heart monitor and stuff like that, Anwar and I looked at each other and we were like, maybe we should just go for it and get a C-section, because instead of it being traumatic experience, it's better for us to just step in and do the right thing for me, for her, and just have a good experience overall. And I remind you, I stayed calm because I kind of started understanding that, like, interventions were happening. The more interventions that happened, I knew it would lead to a C-section probably. So I kind of knew at that point what was happening. So that's why I stayed calm most of the time. And we made the decision at like 11, I'd say like 11:30, that we might as well do a C-section since her heart would just kept going into stress. And so when I got on that table, it hits you like, I've never had surgery ever, and this was a real surgery. You see like bright lights above you. It is an experience, but it's not scary. Again, I was prepared for that moment. Like, you're just so strong and you want to meet your baby that you're like, okay, cut me open, I'm ready for this, honestly. And Anwar came in the room, and as soon as we heard her cry, the both of us cried. I couldn't cry as much because I could feel things happening, where he was like a little more longer, tearier. And then he got lucky and he got to go see her where I was getting stitched up. So the whole procedure is about an hour, and they stitched up every layer for me, which is great. Oh, I forgot to add, when they took her out, she was not only crooked, my pelvic was super small, but her umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, which was causing that distress. I am 1 month postpartum and I'm feeling great. I had no issues. I have no pain in my C-section scar area, none of that. I've healed up pretty well. I'm doing normal things I normally do. So it was a great thing that we did that, because I just followed my gut. I have no regrets, like I said, because if I would have had to gone into natural birth, like I went to the birthing center and the same situation played out, I would have had to have shifted to the hospital because of the situation at hand with the distress and the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. So it just, I followed my gut. And I always want to say that you follow your gut, your intuition, especially as a mom. Like, you just, it like heightens like 10 times more. But no matter what, I think it was such a lovely experience. Now, would I do it over again? Yep, I would do it over again, as crazy as it is. But am I planning to have any other kids? I don't know. Nothing in the books yet. I always say I want to adopt another child, but that's also something like that's just up in the loops thoughts of adoption. Right now, we're just focused on Aria. She is sleeping. She's on my monitor over here. I hear from you guys what your experiences were and how you felt after you gave birth. Everybody's different. Their journey is different. I do want to say that as well. Everybody's recovery time is different. It's not the same. So don't set any expectations for yourself if you're pregnant right now about like your postpartum journey. I think that's the best way. Like, I know for me, it's gonna take its course and its time. I still feel like, I've got a little chubs in places. I mean, I still have I have a pooch, you know what I mean, now that I have a scar, So everybody's different. Oh, by the way, which we can talk about in another video, I am exclusively pumping. So if you have any questions, I'm not the best, but I guess I could try to help. I did take a lactation class. I've taken 2 lactation classes before, and I've taken a breastfeeding class. It's kind of interesting the things you learn. That's like a whole nother video that I can talk about. I can talk about my daughter's tongue tie. She has a tongue tie as well. So we can talk about, pumping and breastfeeding, my journey at least. Not much of a breastfeeding journey, but more of a pumping journey. So if you have any questions, or if you want to see a video on a full, what my schedule's kind of like for pumping and what I've been doing to keep my supply, stuff like that. Another video that I know I have to make is a room tour, her nursery room tour, that I've been telling you guys I will do, especially that she's here now. So I will definitely be trying to record that during the day when I get a chance and have her nap. Probably try to do it in the morning, whatever. It's hard right now. There's no set schedule, kind of is and isn't, you know what I mean? I want to say thank you guys for all your support that you've been giving me throughout this journey. And I know I haven't been like active on YouTube, especially during my pregnancy, just because pregnancy is hard, and the weight gain and all that. So, I talked about it in the last video that I made, the 3rd trimester, and those things that kind of hit you at that time. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I hopefully will see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for your support and just supporting me throughout this journey. I know I haven't really been active, but I just want to say thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!